Hey there, my little buddy. I'll tell you right now, sit back and grab something to eat because this video is going to be long and cover a lot of things at once. We're going to start with the basic game setup and end with almost a breakdown of the number of missiles needed to destroy each tank. Do you think, why bother with registration? But did you know about the huge bonuses right at the start of the game for beginners? And not just 2 conditional 10% boosts, but a huge bunch of different gifts. 100,000 silver, 3 types of different premium vehicles, a week of premium account, experience boosters, and backups along with a discount on a premium level tank. Agreed, it's much better to start the game with something to fight with. The link to get all these premium bonuses is in the description right below the video. I think you can find it easily. So, you can consider yourself a beginner in the game, not after a week of playing, but only after 2,000 to 3,000 games in arcade mode. Yes, exactly in it, because there are also realistic and simulator battles. Life there is scary and hard. It is not at all suitable for beginners and can be considered as throwing this video game in the trash. Why is that? I will explain a little later. We will provide information as it comes in. Each player will first see the main menu. Of course, there is a small visual guide in the game that will take you through almost all the game menus, but not every icon in the interface will have a simple explanation. I'm not going to show you where to click to get to the settings, because those are mundane things. But what is that thing next to the tank? How can a new player understand what that is? Unfortunately, there are no symbols in the game during the briefing. You have to get this information from somewhere. You can open Research, hover over the vehicle and read, or you can get all the information from this video. I don't know if this is important to you or not, but if you're going to play War Thunder seriously, the sooner you find out, the better it will be for you, because you'll be able to navigate the minimap more easily. But to be honest, it's all simple here. Take a look. Here is the tank class. Yes, those arcs, stripes, triangles, those are tank type designations. Light, heavy, tank destroyer, or my favorite, SPAA. There are similar designations for all types of vehicles. Digits is a tank's combat rating, and it may surprise you to know that it uses this rating to find you an opponent, not based on your favorite premium tank that you love with all your heart, but based on the highest combat level in the garage. So don't be surprised if you suddenly find yourself facing a powerful tank that you can't even penetrate. Also, if you don't have time to understand what you're earning and what buttons do what, well, that happens. You just drove out, got a one-shot, and flew back to the garage. For such a sad occasion, you have a magic button. Choose the technique you want to test, right-click, and then Test Run. You will be loaded onto a training ground where you will be alone, with different landscapes and tanks. Let's probably start the tutorial with this kind of information. Go to Settings, Tank Battle Settings, and disable Grass in Crosshairs. Yes, the game will lose some of its beauty if you aim from the gunner's position, but it will give you a huge advantage, or rather take it away from the enemy. Now you can see how it all works on the screen. On the left is the view with the grass displayed. On the right, with the display turned off, opens up a huge part of the view that you can safely use by shooting from behind a hill or some other cover, since the grass is only visible up close anyway and it will only bother you. The enemy in the crosshairs at a distance from this vegetation will not have it. Keep this in mind. Also, on the range, you can see where the vulnerable spots are in your tank, and not just in tanks. Press the O key. The X-ray turns on and you can see what is inside your tank, plane, or ship, where the engine is, the crew members, some other important parts, and most importantly, the ammunition. Sometimes it is in the most inconvenient and illogical place, especially in tanks. Who in his right mind would come up with the idea of placing a missile in the most unprotected place? And let me remind you, one hit on the ammo set and you'll lose the vehicle. You can solve the situation as follows. When you select a tank, you will see the number of missiles it contains. Remember that you don't need such huge reserves. 30 pieces will be enough. This is not an arcade world of tanks, where a player can easily fire dozens of missiles per battle. A reduced ammo load directly affects the number of explosive items in the tank. Compare for yourself. This is a full loadout and this is a partial one. Your chances of a one-shot kill are much lower. Over time, you will remember where each tank has ammo and only shoot at those areas. This is what experienced players do. Well, here's a little advice. A barrel is a physical object that can be destroyed. So if yours is big, don't be proud of its size, and don't show it off from around a corner, or someone will shoot it off. It is worth noting that a vehicle is considered destroyed not only when it is blown apart by a direct hit, but also when there are too few crew members left to operate and fire at the same time. The number of crew members is especially important for naval vehicles. Of course, you can always end up in an artillery storeroom, which is the correct name for the place on a ship where ammunition is stored. However, it is not easy to get there, although nothing is impossible for enthusiasts. Most of the time, a ship is considered destroyed when the entire crew has been killed or there is no one left to pump out water and repair modules. Well, with airplanes, it's easy, especially in the early levels. It's usually some damage to the fuselage or wings. In short, a flying bathtub loses its ability to fly and simply becomes a bathtub. Also, a little survival tip. Mainly for ships, beginners often make the same mistake over and over again. The ship has a lot of inertia and cannot stop instantly. During a firefight, for some reason there is a desire to retreat as soon as the first shots are fired at you. But this is a fatal mistake. By slowing down, you essentially make yourself an easy target, because you will slow down for about 10 seconds, and only then will the reversal begin. During this time, you will be bombarded with full ammo holds, as there is almost no need for lead time for accurate hits. You will be an AFK target for absorbing damage. You will get much more profit if you do not slow down, but turn completely to the right or left, turning your body in the other direction. The ship will continue to move and will not allow you to aim. Also, do not forget to use smoke. It is important for both tanks and ships, especially when you get hit and need to repair. More information from the very important but not needed category. You have already seen the X-ray button and know where it is, but here is another interesting in-game feature for you. In the main menu, you can study the vulnerability map of your tank, plane, or ship and understand which part can withstand damage normally and which part is better not to show to the enemy at all. I will use this ship as an example. There are plenty of safe places in the hull, but if you get here or here, congratulations, your ship is sinking. Then sit down and justify yourself to your teammates. And look, remember I mentioned the combat rating at the beginning of the video and how it corresponds to the highest rank? What do you do when you only have one high-level tank and everything else is junk? Or when you don't want to sweat in stuffy lobbies and just want to relax? In the same main menu as the bottom, you will find Sets. Here you can easily create a set of vehicles for different tanks, eliminating the pre-top and top, leaving only the medium or even the starting vehicles. If you just want to shoot, drive, or fly, go to the Range Mode selection menu and start any map. It can be a ground, air, or sea battle, or all modes at once. However, I warn you that usually only cool guys with a high-level arsenal of vehicles come here to relax. A beginner can also find something for himself, but usually it's a one-way street. Still, it's worth acknowledging. It's a good thing for beginners, even if it can be painful here. The number of respawns is unlimited, and you can die as many times as you want. What are the advantages? You can try out maps, understand what's the best position to shoot from, how to approach a point, how to control the area in front of you, and generally learn how to play. The only disadvantage is that you don't earn money and leveling experience in this mode. The firing range is just a sandbox where everyone plays war games. And since I mentioned experience and leveling up a few seconds ago, I need to explain what they are and how to spend them. These points are earned for skills and capture points, so the more active you are, the more you will progress. For ground vehicles, this includes everything related to turret control, engine and transmission, then crew supply, and finally artillery. Airplanes, radiator, compressor, engine, frame, and fuel injection. The rest as needed. Ships, drives, rangefinders, debuggers, and on to your liking. But again, I emphasize that I am the one upgrading in this way, but you could choose other priority modules. By the way, what is the charm of our gifts that I mentioned at the beginning of the video? Well, those are the ones you can get by clicking on the link in the description. A tank, a plane, and a ship. They're all upgraded, so you don't have to spend any time or effort on them. You just take them and play, earning combat experience to further upgrade the vehicles. And believe me, it will come in handy for you, because if you have decided to play War Thunder, it means you have at least 6 months or a year of free time for War Thunder. Yes, that's exactly the time it will take you to go through one vehicle branch. Let's talk about the crew. This is a very important part of the game, and the influence of a skilled crew can be enormous. The skills of the crew can compensate for the weaknesses of any vehicle and enhance its strengths. For example, the Keen Vision perk at maximum level increases the enemy detection range for aircraft from 4 kilometers to 8 kilometers. In this case, the loader can reduce the reload time for the main caliber. In the fleet, you can upgrade a skill that affects the speed of changing course or improves survivability. You don't need to pump all this. First of all, the main thing is to boost your ground vehicle, loading the gun, leadership, and driving. Resistance to overload is for pilots, and for sailors, advice: start playing in normal modes. And what to upgrade? It doesn't matter at all. Let's talk about the game mode, shall we? Let's start with the easiest one, arcade mode. I've already mentioned that it's not worth leaving the arcade mode without playing at least a few thousand battles here. And now you will learn about the features of the game modes and how they differ from each other. Arcade. 1. Increased technical characteristics are speed and maneuverability, so if it seems like the tank is crawling like a turtle, it's still fast. 2. You have several rights to make mistakes. You don't go to the hangar after the first destroyed transport. 3. Markers. Any crew member who sees an enemy automatically highlights it on the minimap, providing information about its location. 4. The plane cannot be destroyed by overload during a sharp maneuver. Do whatever you want in the sky. 5. Reloading is done in the air. No need to return to the airport after each shot. 6. Airplanes have a lead marker that just roughly, shows where to aim. 7. Tanks do not permanently lose modules, they simply lose some percentage of efficiency. 8. There is assistance in aiming in the form of this sight in the center. It changes its color, indicating the chances of penetration: green, yellow, or red. 9. Again, as with airplanes, there is an automatic range correction. The marker is placed in the middle of the enemy ship, and if you want to shoot off its propellers, for example, shoot slightly behind it. 10. Missile and torpedo trajectories leave a mark that can be used to adjust the trajectory or to see where you hit and if you hit at all. In realistic battle, things are a little tougher, but still not Spartan. In short, the plane can break when making a sharp turn or encountering an opposing airstream. It is necessary to replenish ammunition by landing on airfields. Tanks can be several types of vehicles. Tanks themselves are still planes, but now helicopters have been added, and if your tank can't move and shoot at the same time, that's it. You lose. Take care of the crew. You can't see all the enemies that your teammates can see, but you can mark them with Alt and show on the minimap where the enemy was, or open fire on them with the main weapon or machine gun by pressing the spacebar. In this case, you will give information on the map to your entire squad, but you will also reveal your position. Now comes the hardcore simulator battle. I have to say, girls, this is the hardest mode. The sweatiest nerds who are clearly combat helicopters or worse by gender play here. All combat is first person only. Without markers, you have to control a huge number of different joysticks, levers, and pedals. In a tank, the view of the battlefield comes from 3 different crew members. You can play that, but why bother? Think of it as Tarkov for tankers. And the most skill-based thing is the World War. This is essentially a reconstruction of various historical events and wars presented in a simulator battle. So the World War, like the simulator battle, is sweat and tears multiplied by infinity. Normal people stick to arcade and at most realistic mode. Maniac Psycho choose everything else. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the PvE battle, where you simply have to survive waves of enemies for 30 minutes, and at the end, you get an experience booster as a reward. The better you defend, the bigger the booster you get. We could also talk about tank ammunition, but frankly, I'm afraid of that topic. There are a huge number of types, and even more factors that influence their effectiveness, such as the angle of the plate you hit, the thickness of the armor, the angle at which the projectile falls, and even the position of the sun relative to retrograde Mercury. But in short, once you have access to spears, these are sub-caliber armor-piercing missiles. Consider yourself in the highest league, where the word destroy is what you yell when you see an enemy anywhere. These arrows will penetrate almost anything living in their path. In the beginning, everyone throws fragmentation high explosive bricks, and they are only good for destroying cars and weak armor. Above the 3rd tank, they are of little use. And do you know how to understand which grenades and, in general, how to play with which tank? By the way, this does not only apply to tanks, but I will show you with their example. Go to the vehicle branch and click RMB on any vehicle you like. Then, click on Information and it will take you to the Thunder Wiki. There is a lot of text here. Sometimes there are unfinished pages. So if you scroll through, you could find a description and a short guide on how to best use this or that piece of metal, which shells it has in the ammunition rack, and even information about weaknesses. I recommend studying it to everyone, especially to those who are crazy about military equipment and think that they will name their son Leopard in the future. I would also like to highlight a type of ammunition called ATGM, or more precisely, it's a type of weapon. It is quite interesting. In simple terms, it is a guided mini missile that the player directs to the target with the mouse. Is it interesting to be a user of ATGM? Yes. Is it effective? Yes. Who will win in a one-on-one duel? ATGM or a regular tank? The answer is simple: the tank. ATGM has one small but very important disadvantage. The flight speed is significantly lower than that of a projectile fired from a tank barrel. So in an open field, you are more likely to be killed twice before you could deliver the ATGM rocket to the target. However, one of the ATGM strengths is that it can be fired around a corner or up a hill, where the enemy will not be able to hide from you. But it does require some skill in missile control. Now let's talk about donations. Yes, that's part of the guide. Didn't you expect that? I'm shocked myself. In War Thunder, you can play without paying, but the progress in the game that would take about 6 months can easily stretch to 12, from 1 year to 2. Do you understand what I mean and where I'm going with this? Yes, buying the premium is a must. You can see it for yourself by playing 7 days with our free registration premium, and then try a few days without it. Compare the earnings per battle, and you will go and deposit money into the account for the developers, because that's how it's set up here. Think of it as a subscription to a comfortable game, not a beggar simulator. And let's go over some little tips. There are 4 events per year in the game called Marathon. Basically, it is an event where all players can farm equipment for themselves, but its main value is slightly different. It is much more profitable to sell all this equipment on the in-game exchange for Gaijin coins, which is literally the only way to get donation eagles in the game right now. At the same time, in huge quantities, literally thousands. But do not rush to put anything on the exchange right away. The longer it sits in your inventory, the higher the price can go over time. Like these specimens, they are literally worth more than $600 because the Gaijin coin exchange rate is stable and always at 1 coin to $1. And in general, not only can you put Marathon's vehicles on the exchange, but you can also put any item from the Battle Pass on the exchange, if the game allows you to put it up for sale and there is no such inscription. Use the exchange and you won't have the question where to get golden eagles. Now, let me tell you something else. Yes, this will be obvious information, but still, it's best to shoot tanks from a plane, not at an angle somewhere in the side, but boldly straight into the hatch of the turret, dropping on top of them. The protection there is the thinnest, and you have a good chance to get a +1 for the team. This method works not only for planes, but you can also shoot into the turret hatch from a tank and kill one of the crew. There is another aspect that many beginners underestimate or do not use to its full potential: artillery fire. Killing with artillery is more of an exception to the rule, but forcing the enemy to leave cover is perfectly valid strategy, and that's exactly how this button is used. By default, artillery has a fairly long duration, but if you upgrade the crew properly, you can not only successfully flush out entrenched enemies, but also destroy their vehicles. How to move faster on a tank? If there is a road nearby, try to drive at least 1 lane on it. The speed of movement will increase. Use a scope to get a more comfortable view of your surroundings and to see through obstacles. Yes, it can, because the camera in the binoculars is positioned higher than the camera from the spotter's position when zooming. It also makes it easier to rotate the binoculars. Next tip: keep an eye on the mini-map. It will have all the necessary information for you: tanks, where they are spotted and destroyed, and so on. Logical and simple advice: use the hit camera to adjust subsequent shots. This camera is also a cheat. If you have at least 2 eyes and a reaction time faster than a stool, you can easily take a look at this window between shots. And we remember what a knocked out shooter means, right? Right, the inability to turn the turret. We flank them or hit them from behind and shoot them quietly while they change crew members or ride a wheel. A similar situation occurs with other modules of the vehicle: tracks, engine. If there is no way to move, bombard it with all the ammunition you have. Don't hold back anything. I know from personal experience that it's not clear how to turn off the terminal for the first time. For example, you just entered Zoom on a night map and now everything is green. You can fix this very easily, especially if your keyboard has a numeric pad. Press Y on the keyboard, then 4 on the numeric pad or the regular one, and then 2. That's it. Now we see that we can't see anything, which is what you wanted, and the goal is achieved. To turn it back on, do the same thing, and pay attention. There are some other additional options here. Explore them, press them. I think it will be useful for you. And perhaps the most important piece of advice that will make the lives of thousands of players 1,000 times easier. We have a machine gun on the spacebar. Okay, here is a really useful tip. Only those who have watched this far will know. Now you will learn how to shoot very accurately and quickly at the target, no matter what the distance. Watch and repeat after me. Go to Control Settings and scroll down to the bottom. Here we will find Sight Range Input. Click on it and the next menu will open for us. Here I recommend setting it up like mine, or however it is more convenient for you. But in my opinion, this is the optimal option. On the mouse, use the side buttons up and down, as well as the reset button on the scroll wheel. And this is what we end up with. We aim at the enemy, see the distance, quickly adjust the sight with the side buttons of the mouse, and shoot the enemy. We reset the distance with a button and switch to another target. This is much more convenient than manually lifting the sight, especially in an arcade game with a jumping marker over various obstacles. Although with experience you will start to refuse this, because you will start to understand what lead and drop you need to take, unless you use it on tanks that shoot with drop. I know that many of you have been looking for information about nations, especially the USA, the USSR, and the Finns. So let's start with the USSR. Basically, there are 5 branches of the Soviet. The 4th rank, T-35-85, many consider it a golden classic, combining agility, firepower, and armor. The 4th rank, it has excellent turret armor, a slightly weaker hull structure, like all 44th year technology in general. It can be used for flanking and sudden rear attacks. 6th rank, T-62. This is a more modern vehicle, produced in 1961. Not the fastest tank, but it has good armament. The side armor forgives some mistakes and can even work successfully in diamond formations. And this tank is best at medium and long range. T-80B, almost a contemporary, produced in 1983. It has high speed and an impressive arsenal, but weak sides and a circular ammunition layout. And these are all high-level tanks. On the other hand, it is much easier with low-ranking tanks, where the vehicles themselves are not very durable and die from almost any sneeze. 1st rank, T-26. If you follow the link in the description, you will actually get its premium version already upgraded and with additional bonuses for frags. 2nd rank, T-34, one of the best in its level. 3rd rank, IS-1, huge, powerful, a confident tractor for farming at this level. 4th rank, this is already the edge where a boy becomes a man, so I can recommend you the T-44. It has a good accuracy that will allow you not just to shoot anywhere, but to start targeting the weak points of the enemies. And US tanks? 4th rank technology, M18 Hellcat. This tank, if it can be called that, is one of the fastest representatives of the 4th rank technology, but at the same time it is one of the thinnest. The self-propelled gun has an impressive armament, which combined with its speed makes it a formidable opponent in skilled hands. But the M18 requires a special approach and style of play from the player. Next, we have the M26. It is the complete opposite of the T-18 in terms of speed. The tank is slow, but only when moving. In terms of turret rotation speed or turning in place, it could show quite good results and become a formidable force on the battlefield thanks to this feature. For many 4th rank tanks, and even for some 5th rank tanks, considering the caliber, the M26 is the boss of the gym and a really serious problem. In the USA, the M1 Abrams is considered to top the list. It has good protection that ensures the survival of the crew, a huge selection of ammunition, maneuverability, gun speed, and in general, it is a dream tank in almost all parameters. If you have purchased an Abrams, congratulations, you have passed War Thunder. But first, you have to survive by going through the first ranks. And there we have the M2A4, a fast and elusive little piglet, which, by the way, is also premium in our description. On the 2nd rank is the M4A1, a medium tank with a fast turret. And as for the vehicles from Finland, yes, in case you didn't know, they also squeezed Finnish technology into the Swedish branch. The tanks themselves are mostly copies of those already existing in other nations, but modified and simply added, most likely to complete the Hangar of the Swedish fans. The best of the best are the starters, T-28 and T-34, then T-34-85, and the icing on the cake, the good old Leopard A4 and A6. Want to know about other vehicles, like airplanes and ships? Well, let's take a look at those machines. USSR aircraft. LA-5 is an excellent aircraft for beginners. Yes, not without defects, but it is only a second-class aircraft, so it is not worth expecting much from it. But compared to its competitors in this branch, it is the best. The IL-2M is the third-rank king of the USSR branch. It has suspended armament, can bomb tanks, and also has a gunner on board. Not very useful, but sometimes it can play its role and accidentally harm the enemy. MiG-15. This is already the 5th rank, yes, serious vehicle. Powerful guns, excellent maneuverability, and solid armament for destroying ground equipment. But its ammunition still leaves something to be desired. Mindless spraying in all directions will not work for you. USA vehicles. I suggest we start with a second-tier aircraft, the P-51. Some may say that this plane is mediocre and average. This is partially true, but its armament of 4 machine guns attracts attention. It is not the initiator of the battle, but rather serves as a support. It can finish off the enemy very well, but it is strictly forbidden to be the first to enter the battle. And the 7th place? Yes, that's how we jump along the development branch. Well, what can you do if there's no particularly outstanding technique? So, on the 7th place, the F-4 Phantom II deserves attention. Almost a modern aircraft produced in 1965, it has everything, or almost everything you can dream of. Missiles, bombs, additional machine guns, and even just the standard machine gun with a high rate of fire. By the time a player reaches this plane, they should ideally already be experienced and know the various intricacies of the game mechanics and the nuances of aircraft behavior in the air. With all this knowledge, the F-4 can become a favorite aircraft for many. Well, everything is really interesting when it comes to Sweden. Since aviation in Sweden is rather a showpiece and not very diverse, here are its best representatives. The J-21A-1 is an extremely interesting aircraft, both in terms of appearance and performance. The thing is that its propeller is not in the front, but in the back, and literally pushes the plane. In the front are 4 machine guns and a 20mm cannon. The best tactic is to dive on the enemy from above and send him into the hangar in a few seconds. Getting into a dogfight with it is highly not recommended, but sucking in someone else's fight is the first thing you should do. Next, we jump to the 5th rank, and here we have an interesting specimen, J-29. Like the previous Swedish vehicle specimen, has an extremely unusual design, small wings and tail in size, the placement of fuel tanks, and the most interesting thing is the fuselage with a huge hole like a Dyson fan. J-35D, 7th rank, probably one of the most maneuverable planes in the game, but at the same time one of the most difficult, because maneuverability directly affects the pilot, and overloads are such a thing that not everyone can withstand them. As for the armament, it is extremely powerful, but controversial. Definitely not overpowered, but one of the most interesting planes in my opinion. Okay, and now we go straight from the sky to the ground. Water vehicles, USSR. 2nd rank, Squadron is a destroyer with powerful armament, excellent air defense, and mobility for its level, but it has a long targeting time and low survivability. On the 2nd rank, it is a very pleasant ship, but we move on. 4th rank, the Kurov, a ship that is quite pleasant in every way. It has powerful main guns with 3 turrets and 6 auxiliary chambers, 10 anti-aircraft guns. Not much, but it's something. Another nice detail is the presence of a reconnaissance plane, but a disadvantage is the very long reloading time. Chapayev. Also the 4th rank. It is almost perfect in everything, but compared to the previous ship, it has only one disadvantage, a smaller main caliber, but more guns, better anti-aircraft guns, and high survivability. And we will finish with the USSR, the Heavy Cutter PR-206, 5th rank. The caliber, though not the largest, is sufficient for its class. And also, it has a radar system right from the base. Plus, it has quite good torpedoes. USA, Fletcher DD-445. is a proud representative of the second rank, and it has 5 main caliber turrets with a tremendous firing speed, especially for its rank. In addition, it has 2 auxiliary caliber turrets and 6 anti-aircraft guns, which may not be many, but they are decent in terms of their performance. It is also equipped with depth charges and torpedoes. All in all, it is the best second-class ship for us, capable of making even higher-level enemies nervous. 4th rank, Helena. Yes, it is premium, but it is worth it. 5 towers of 152 caliber plus 4 of 127. Not many can survive the barrage of these cannons, and the anti-aircraft guns definitely won't let anyone get close. There are 16 of them on board. The only drawback is weak armor, but usually the one with the bigger gun wins. Luckily, we have guns of a solid caliber. 5th rank, USS Brooklyn. Almost the same as Helena, but with less anti-aircraft and more auxiliary guns. Here we have 5 main guns and 8 auxiliary guns. Just like the anti-aircraft guns, there are also 8 of them. It is almost impossible to shoot it at close or medium range. That is its weakness. It is almost useless at long range. The Swedes. And the Swedes do not have a fleet. That's how it is. Well, that's the way it is. There are still a lot of small aspects in the game. It's just impossible to tell everything. So why don't you write in the comments what you would like to add and share with other players? Oh, and I remind you, the link for a comfortable start for beginners is in the description. There, you will find 100,000 silver, a premium tank, a plane, and a ship. By the way, if you change the language on the website, you will have the opportunity to get completely different equipment, not what they offer as soon as you switch. For example, if you register by translating the site into English, you will get a great M2A4 tank. In France, an airplane, in Russian, and a boat. The language in the game will not change, but the bonuses will. This will help, for example, those who prefer a certain type of vehicles in battles, ground, air, or sea. Get the best vehicles in each format using the link in the description. Share this video with your friends, like it, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos. Write something nice in the comments if you've watched this far. Good luck, and bye!